In a bustling corner of the city, where the narrow streets overflow with life, laughter, and struggle, lives Layla, a young woman with dreams far bigger than the slum she calls home. Each day, she weaves tales of hope, pouring her heart into poems she shares with anyone who will listen. To the world, she's just another face in the crowd, but to those who truly see her, she's a beacon of light amidst the shadows. Meanwhile, in a distant palace of unimaginable grandeur, a different life unfolds. Prince Khalid, heir to an ancient dynasty, carries the weight of royal expectations. His days are filled with ceremonial duties, endless meetings, and the suffocating rules of a life predetermined at birth. Yet deep within, Khalid craves something more, something real. Two lives, two worlds, separated by wealth, power, and destiny. And yet fate has a way of intertwining even the unlikeliest of paths. On an unusually cool evening, the sprawling city comes alive under a canopy of twinkling stars. Prince Khalid, dressed in the simple robes of a common man, slips unnoticed through the gates of his grand palace. For months, he's longed to escape the golden-crusted cage of his royal life, desperate to see the world his advisors have hidden from him. Tonight, he walks the crowded streets, absorbing the vibrant energy of a life so different from his own. In the heart of the bustling slums, Layla stands in the middle of a modest marketplace, captivating a small crowd with her words. Her voice carries strength, weaving stories of resilience and hope that make even the weariest smile. She's reciting a poem, one she wrote herself, about finding beauty in brokenness, a message that feels all too familiar to those around her. Khalid, drawn by the sound of her voice, halts in his tracks. In the dim light of street lanterns, he sees her, a young woman, standing tall despite the weight of her world. Her passion and determination stir something within him, something he hasn't felt in years: inspiration. As the crowd disperses, Khalid takes a step closer. Layla notices him, a stranger in humble clothes but with an air of mystery. He introduces himself simply as Khalid, concealing the truth of who he really is. Their conversation begins hesitantly, but quickly blooms into something unexpected. They speak of dreams, of struggles, and of the courage it takes to hope. For Khalid, it's a glimpse into a life unburdened by titles. For Layla, it's an encounter with someone who listens, truly listens, to her words. Neither knows that this seemingly ordinary meeting will set the course for a love that defies all odds. In that fleeting moment beneath the stars, two worlds collide, changing both of their lives forever. As the days turned into weeks, Prince Khalid couldn't stay away. Disguised as an ordinary man, he began slipping out of the palace more often, finding solace in Layla's presence. Their meetings, though brief and secret, became his escape, a sanctuary from the weight of his royal responsibilities. Each time they met, under the quiet gaze of the moon and away from prying eyes, their bond grew stronger. Layla, too, felt something she had never known, a connection that went beyond words. Khalid wasn't just another man from the city. There was something different about him: his mannerisms, his knowledge of the world, and his kindness. He listened to her dreams with genuine curiosity, encouraging her to believe that her voice mattered, even in a world that often silenced people like her. Together, they shared stories from their vastly different lives. Khalid spoke of distant lands and grand responsibilities, always careful to avoid revealing his true identity. Layla shared tales of resilience, of battles fought to survive in the unforgiving slums. They laughed, they dreamed, and for the first time, Khalid began to imagine a life where love wasn't bound by status. But with each stolen moment, the risk grew greater. Khalid's frequent absences did not go unnoticed in the palace, and whispers of suspicion began to spread. Meanwhile, Layla couldn't ignore the feeling that Khalid was hiding something. Who was this man who came from nowhere and seemed to understand her soul like no one else ever had? Despite the looming danger and unanswered questions, their hearts didn't waver. The pull between them was undeniable, unshakable, a love forged in the secrecy of moonlit nights and whispered promises. But could this fragile bond withstand the storms that awaited them? As Khalid and Layla's love deepened, so did the shadows of uncertainty. Khalid knew his secret couldn't remain hidden forever. His heart ached as he envisioned a life with Layla, one where love triumphed over tradition. But he also understood the stakes. The royal family would never accept a commoner, let alone someone from the slums, as his bride. Still, he couldn't imagine a future without her. One evening, under the vast expanse of desert stars, Khalid knelt before Layla. His voice trembled as he confessed the truth. His identity as Prince Khalid, heir to one of the most powerful kingdoms in the region. Layla's eyes widened in shock, her heart torn between love and fear. But as his words continued, promising protection and devotion, she realized that his feelings were genuine. This wasn't a prince asking for a queen. This was a man pleading for the love of his life to trust him. Defying every rule he'd ever known, Khalid proposed a secret marriage, a union unseen by the royal eyes that would seek to tear them apart. Together, they planned a quiet ceremony in a secluded location, with only a few trusted allies as witnesses. On the day of the wedding, Layla donned a simple white dress borrowed from a friend, while Khalid stood before her with tears in his eyes. Under the glow of lantern light, surrounded by nothing but silence and the desert breeze, they exchanged their vows. For a fleeting moment, the weight of the world disappeared, leaving behind only the promise of love, loyalty, and a shared dream of a future together. But as they pledged their lives to one another, neither of them realized how quickly their secret would unravel. The honeymoon of their secret marriage was short-lived. News of Khalid's frequent disappearances reached the palace walls, setting off a chain of suspicion. A loyal servant, tasked with shadowing him, uncovered the truth and leaked the story to the royal advisors. It didn't take long for the royal family to confront Khalid, their fury blazing like the desert sun. "You've dishonored us," his father, the king, roared. "A prince does not marry a woman from the slums. She is a danger to the throne." The royal family moved swiftly, ordering Layla to leave Khalid's life forever. But they underestimated the strength of the love that bound them. As word of the scandal spread, the media pounced on the story, turning it into a nationwide sensation. Layla's name was splashed across every headline, her humble origins scrutinized and her dignity attacked. Crowds gathered at the gates of her neighborhood, some praising her for daring to love a prince, others hurling cruel insults. Khalid, powerless within the walls of his palace, could only watch as the world turned against the woman he adored. To make matters worse, betrayal came from within. A trusted advisor, desperate to protect the throne, revealed Layla's location to the royal enforcers. One fateful night, they came for her, dragging her into the cold light of royal judgment. Khalid, learning of her capture, stormed the council chambers. "If you touch a hair on her head, I'll renounce everything," he shouted, his voice echoing through the palace halls. In that moment, Khalid made a fateful choice, to risk it all for Layla, even if it meant stepping away from his crown. As his love for her defied the boundaries of tradition, a battle for justice and dignity began. A battle that would forever change the fate of their love and the destiny of the kingdom. The palace was in turmoil, the royal halls buzzing with whispers of rebellion. Rebellion not from an enemy, but from one of their own. Prince Khalid had made an unprecedented stand. "I will not give up Layla, not for the throne, not for tradition," he declared before the council, his voice firm and unyielding. His defiance sent shockwaves through the kingdom, igniting debates about love, class, and the rigid rules of royalty. Layla, meanwhile, remained imprisoned in a cold, solitary room deep within the palace walls. But even as the days stretched on, her spirit did not waver. Khalid's love gave her strength, and she held on to the hope that he would find a way to set her free. Word of her plight began to spread beyond the palace, reaching the ears of commoners who admired her bravery and the prince's unshakable devotion. Realizing the power of the people, Khalid took a bold step. He left the palace and stood before the gathered crowds outside its gates. Dressed in humble clothing, he addressed the people not as their prince, but as a man in love. "I chose Layla because she is strong, wise, and compassionate, qualities that no title or lineage can define. If loving her makes me unworthy of this crown, then I willingly relinquish it." His words stirred the hearts of thousands, sparking a wave of support that the royal family couldn't ignore. Faced with mounting public pressure, the royal family convened an emergency council. One of Khalid's younger sisters, who had long admired his courage, stood in his defense. "Brother, perhaps it's time we adapt," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "The people are ready for a new chapter, one where love and justice matter more than status." Her unexpected support swayed key members of the council, creating cracks in the once impenetrable wall of tradition. But the journey wasn't over. Khalid and Layla's enemies within the palace made one last attempt to discredit them, fabricating rumors about Layla's past. This time, however, the people rose as a unified force. They rallied in the streets, chanting her name and demanding fairness. Their cries were loud enough to drown out even the staunchest opponents within the palace walls. With no other option, the royal family reluctantly agreed to meet with Khalid and Layla. In a tense gathering, Khalid again defended his love, but this time, it was Layla who spoke up. "I never asked for riches or titles," she said, her voice steady. "I simply ask for the freedom to love without fear." Her words pierced through the rigid hearts of her detractors, forcing them to confront their own biases. In the end, love triumphed over tradition. The king, though begrudgingly, issued a public statement acknowledging their union. Khalid, however, remained resolute in his decision to step down. Together, he and Layla chose to leave the palace and start anew, a life built not on gold and power, but on love and shared dreams. Their story didn't end there. Khalid and Layla's journey inspired a movement, changing the way the kingdom viewed class and tradition. Laws were reformed, allowing people from all walks of life to dream of a brighter future. Layla became a symbol of hope, and Khalid, though no longer a prince, became a beloved leader of the people in ways the throne never allowed him to be. And so, under the same desert stars where they first met, Khalid and Layla built a life together, a life that proved love could conquer even the highest walls and the deepest divides.